Unemployed Gamer here, and today I'm here to talk about my favorite PlayStation 1 games of all time. That's right, the PlayStation. Now, the PlayStation, as we know, is the most successful console of all time. If I got that right, records for selling consoles and games. And this system was released in 1994 in Japan and worldwide the following year, which was 1995, if I did my math right. Anyways, it was a phenomenon, as you all know, still going strong with the PS4. And we have to thank Nintendo for stabbing Sony in the back. And that is another story I'll talk about later. But revenge is a dish cold served. Wait. No, wait. Revenge is a cold dish served cold? No. Well, you get it. It was a nice revenge from Sony. And here are my top 10 games of all time. Number 10, Driver. And this action driving video game is my favorite, especially the first one. This is a game that I love playing a lot on my PlayStation 1. Well, it wasn't really my PlayStation, actually. I always used to borrow the PlayStation from friends. Believe it or not, I never owned one, but this is an awesome game that I wish I had on my Nintendo 64. And this game, the cool thing about it was the movie car chases. You can literally drive anywhere and just record some awesome chases. You know, the cops are actually after you. The graphics were great for a PlayStation game, as you can see here. And overall was a great game. Controller was awesome. I think this game inspired a lot of games. Maybe even GTA. I could be wrong, but I love Driver. It's just a sweet game, and it deserves to be on my list. All right, and number 9, Rayman. And this is a side-scroller platform video game, and I love this game. It was developed by Ubisoft. The first one is one of my favorites of all time, and this is one of the first platformers I played on the PlayStation 1, and I loved it. I loved it so much, I actually got it for my Sega Saturn, and it plays identical actually, but I actually ended up beating it on the PlayStation 1 first. I love the graphics, as you can see, beautiful, colorful, real cartoony. The character Rayman is awesome. He has a lot of cool tricks. Definitely shows off the cool graphics that PlayStation 1 can do. And on my Nintendo 64, there wasn't a lot of these type of games, so of course I ate this game up. I love it, and I still love the new Raymans. Obviously, this one has a lot of nice nostalgia value on it, but you definitely need to pick this one up. Rayman. Number 8, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. And this puzzle game is awesome. It's probably my favorite of all time, or one of them. It's a 1 or 2 player game. Obviously, you do 2-player game. It's a lot more fun. This game was also in the arcade, so I used to play there a lot as well. But of course, if you have it at home, it's even better. It also came out for the Sega Saturn, actually, because I actually rented it a few times on that system. But I'm talking about the PlayStation version right now, right? Anyways, this game was cool. All your favorite characters, from Street Fighter, from Darkstalkers. The music was there. All the cool attacks. It's a great game. I recommend it. You can still get it on the Xbox. I have it on the Xbox as well. I'm sure you can get it on PlayStation 4 and play online with your buddies. Definitely a great pick. Recommend it a lot. Number 7, Street Fighter Alpha 3. And yet again, another Street Fighter game on my list, but this one's back to the traditional fighting game that we all love. The PlayStation 1 version of Street Fighter Alpha 3 was probably the best. It was finally arcade perfect, something the PlayStation 1 lacked on fighting games. This one was awesome. This one was improved. The loading times were pretty much still there, but way improved, if that makes sense. I love this game. The graphics always played in the arcade all the time. There's not much I have to say about this game. I mean, if you like fighting games, you know you're going to love Street Fighter, especially the Alpha series where it shows off all these colorful, cool graphics. And this one deserves to be on there. I still believe probably the Sega Saturn version is better, but that one only came out in Japan. So let's stick to the PlayStation 1 version, which I love. And I was so jealous I didn't have this game and my friend Elias did. Damn it. Moving on to number 6. That's right, Tomb Raider. And this action adventure game was the first of its kind back in the day, so it's very important in video game history. It was the first true 3D game out there, and that used actual polygons. And I can see why it was great, but I was so used to my Nintendo 64. I mean, I gotta admit, I wasn't blown away, but I can see why it was great. And it's very important, and it's considered one of the greatest video games of all time. To be honest with you, I recently replayed it, and I don't think it aged pretty good. It's pretty awkward, the controllers nowadays. The graphics aren't the best, but for its time, it was definitely a pioneer and very different. And I did beat it for PlayStation and the Sega Saturn, believe it or not. So it has to be on here. It's just too important not to be here. And nowadays, the new Tomb Raiders are badass. So I will give Tomb Raider the credit it deserves. And we're moving on to number 5, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And this platform adventure or action role playing game, it was actually made by Konami, and it's one of the best games out there for the PlayStation 1. I wish this game would have came out on my Nintendo 64, but I never did. But I'm just happy I got to play it. And I gotta admit, I was super jealous I didn't have something like Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's an amazing game. Funny thing is, I did get to beat it, but I didn't beat it on the PlayStation. I actually beat it on the Xbox Live Arcade, but it's the same as that game. Anyways, this game deserves to be here just because it's a masterpiece. And the funny thing is, I never was a Castlevania fan back in the Nintendo, Super Nintendo days. And let me tell you, after this game, I mean, I became a fan. And nothing beats this game, I think, in my opinion. But it has to be on my list. It's my top 5 easily of one of the best games for the PlayStation 1. And Castlevania deserves to be on here. Just look at this beautiful graphics. I mean, come on. And the amazing gameplay. Number 4. That's right. Tony Hawk Pro Skater. And I love this game. So many great memories with this game. I remember playing this game for the first time, and I got it right away. I don't know what it is. The controller was perfect. The graphics were insane. And the music. Oh my god. I love the soundtrack. I'm a big fan of punk music. So me and my brother really got into this game. We actually had to borrow it for a minute there because we didn't have a PlayStation, and obviously we got it for the 64 when it came out. But the PlayStation version is where it's at, just because it has all the music without them cutting it, or the graphics too real fast as well compared to the Nintendo 64 version. And after playing this game, let me tell you, we wanted to all be skaters. You know, everybody wanted to skate. This game was so influential. It's one of the best. I love it. I mean, just listening to the music right now and watching this clip, I'm getting chills and goosebumps. Definitely one of the best games of all time. Till this day, this is still my favorite Tony Hawk game, I believe. And I truly, truly enjoy it. It deserves to be on my top. Number 3, Resident Evil. And yet again, another pioneer on the PlayStation 1. And yes, it came out on the Saturn, but obviously the PlayStation 1 version is where it's at. This survival horror game is actually my favorite. Not of all time, but it's one of my favorites on the PlayStation. Capcom did an amazing job, and it's scary as hell. I remember the first time seeing, for instance, the zombie, and it blew my mind. You know, it was great. Another one I wish I had on my system, but of course I had to borrow it once again from my friend. I beat the whole game and I loved it. Yes, I hate the stupid doors for loading. Yes, I hate the acting. It's so cheesy too when they play the FMVs of the movies. But other than that, if you can ignore all that stuff, this game was great. Still ages pretty good. As you know, they even make remakes still, and they're freaking amazing. But this game was great, amazing graphics. Everything was great about this game. It deserves to be on my top 3. Resident Evil, it's still a masterpiece. Thank you, Capcom. Oh yeah, stupid door. Number two, Resident Evil 2. Number two on number two, huh? What a coincidence. Anyways, this survival horror game again, better than part one. The reason, the storyline was so cool. They improved everything. The audio. I believe even the director came back. It was the same team that made part one, so you know it was gonna be great. The thing I love about part two though is just simply how you get into the story. You know, the story. They removed the live actors with actual video game footage. You know, with FMBs, and it really was scarier than the first one, in my opinion. The graphics were improved, and I loved it so much. I actually beat it on the PlayStation 1, and when it came out on the Nintendo 64, because it did come out on Nintendo 64, I actually beat it again with a different character. You know, so I got to enjoy the whole game, and that's how much I loved Resident Evil series, especially Part 2. This game is awesome. It's a masterpiece. Goosebumps the whole way. I'm telling you, you will love it, and it has a lot of replay value as well. So Resident Evil 2 is definitely on my list, and it's considered one of the best of all time. So check it out. Number one, dun dun dun, Metal Gear Solid. And for those that know me, you guys knew I was gonna put this one. I'm always talking about Metal Gear. I'm always praising Hiro Kojima. And this is, what can I say? This is my favorite stealth game of all time. I never played anything like this. And when I saw my friend Elias playing it, I fell in love with the game. And I was like, dude, I need to borrow the PlayStation once again. And yeah, I was right. It was a masterpiece. So much that it might be my number one of all time. This one in Mario 64 kind of changed my life, I guess. So this game, as you can see, for a PlayStation 1 game, look at the graphics. They were freaking awesome. And it was real revolutionary for its time. It was actual stealth game, you know, where enemies were real smart. They can hear your footsteps. They can look at they can hear noises. You know, they can see water tracks. It's amazing. It's genius. But the storyline was something else. The storyline is basically a movie, you know, from Hollywood, and it was directed by your favorite, I don't know, Steven Spielberg or Martin Scorsese. You know, it was that great. And Kojima is one of my heroes after this game. The plot of this game was great. So many twists. I mean, my God, the twists, they were insane. And I just wish this game would have came out on other systems, but it was exclusive to the PlayStation. And I'm glad I got to play it because it's one of the best experiences of all time. It definitely deserves to be on my number one list. Metal Gear Solid. Well, I hope you have enjoyed my list of my top 10 PlayStation 1 games of all time. Tell me which one's your favorite game. Comment, please, and don't forget to subscribe. And I got one more message for you before I go, as usual. Get busy living or get busy dying. And I really hope you choose the first option. And remember, all you need is gaming. And PlayStation 1, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 1. Till next time. Have a good one, my friend.